Hi, I'm Melinda Van Fleet, and welcome to the Good Karma Success Coach podcast. I'm an author, speaker, and success coach who helps women believe in themselves, build confidence, and take action. In 2009, my husband Ryan and I were laid off at the same time, and we moved to the Florida Keys without jobs, not knowing anyone, hardly any money, and we never even been here. But we made it. And now, not every day is sunshine and rainbows, but we're living our best lives. All along in our journey, I've always said that someday when we get our shit together, we will help others. So each week, my intent is to be relatable and bring you tactical tips, tools, share my learnings and stories that can help inspire or transform you wherever you are in your career or general life and make an impact. I strongly believe that if I can do it, you can do it too. So what's stopping you? Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Good Karma Success Coach podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. Before I get into the podcast, which is a little bit of a story, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone out there who has already purchased Life and Love Lessons, How to Discover Confidence Through Your Spiritual Journey. It has been an amazing process so far. It will keep on living forever. That's the great thing about writing books. In regards to content, it lives forever. So it's a continual journey, and I just really appreciate everyone's love and support. And if you haven't bought a copy yet, please know it's available on Amazon in paperback, ebook, and hopefully by the end of August will be the Audible. The Audible will be ready because it's already been recorded. So I'm just waiting for it to come back and then get loaded into ACX. So thank you. And if you would like more information, also check it out on Amazon. You can see reviews and the description. So this is a bonus episode that I really felt called to record. So any of this story, because it's quite a story, doesn't end up, I didn't want it to override or overshadow my actual podcast, which will come out tomorrow with a very special co-host. And that co-host is my gorgeous niece, Sienna. So if you know me and have been following me, you know I am very blessed that I have two beautiful nieces, Sienna and Sydney, and they are a few years apart, about, like 2.5, let's say, approximately. And it's just an amazing story in general of how the whole journey has been with my nieces. And I'm also, when I tell this story, I'm going to refer back to both of my books on and off. And I don't script, so we'll see how this all comes out. But if you have read Confidence Mastery for Couples, you are well aware that I really struggled dating and I desperately wanted a boyfriend. And it even comes up in a story in Life and Love Lessons. So part of why I'm sharing all of this is because I have so many little lessons that will hopefully help someone else out there as well. And that is my intention in all of this, is to share so it helps someone else out there. So if you are someone that is single and was like me, desperately wanting a boyfriend, that's actually part of this story. So in between the time frame when I left an extremely toxic relationship, which I talk about in its entirety in Life and Love Lessons, there was a space of not dating anyone before I met my husband, Ryan. During that space is when my sister was pregnant with my first niece, Sienna, who is my co-host tomorrow on the podcast. And I was, exiting this extremely toxic relationship. And during that time, I said to the universe, to God, to all the angels, that I was done. I was done dating. I was over it. And when you read the story of why, you'll go, oh my God, yes, girl, please give yourself a break. And I was done obsessing with trying to find a boyfriend. Like, I was over it. And I said it out loud, clearly, speaking it into existence, that I was done. I was letting go, and I was going to focus on being the best, most awesome aunt that I could possibly be. And I made that declaration to the universe because I was so excited that my sister was pregnant. And again, if you follow me and if you know my brother died of blood clots. And when I was tested, as per the doctor who did the autopsy on my brother and told my parents, said, if you have any daughters, you need to get them tested. So when I got tested, I was low protein S, which meant I was a high risk for pregnancy, and my sister was not. And my sister wanted children and I did not. So it actually kind of, in a weird way, worked out, I guess you could say. So I was just over the moon excited that my sister was pregnant and I was going to have a beautiful niece. So fast forward just a very short time after that, I ended up going on Match.com, having some beers with a friend on a Saturday afternoon, carefree, not giving a rat's ass what happened, and put myself on Match.com. And shortly thereafter met my husband, Ryan. So my point of sharing all of that is that when you let go of things, things start to happen. So I had positive intentions and I let it go. And then I ended up meeting Ryan, which is crazy. So it's like the universe all aligned. All these things had to happen. And part of that journey was being excited about my niece coming and letting it go. And then I met my husband. And I also want to mention just a little caveat is that I had thought of the name Sienna for my niece, and my sister picked it. So I was very, very excited that my first niece was going to be named Sienna. And there's just such an amazing story with both of my nieces. I love them both so much, just so much. When my niece Sienna was born, I had just met Ryan, and that was a whirlwind relationship. And at the same time that Sienna was born, just a few days after, was when her dad, Jason, was rushed to the hospital because of very bad headaches, and it was discovered that he had brain cancer. So all of this happened at the same time. Like I had met Ryan, was bringing him to introduce him to my family, felt he was the one. My niece is born, and we discover that my sister's husband, Jason, Sienna's father, has brain cancer. And once they discovered that Jason had brain cancer, my sister and Jason did everything under the sun to find a cure, help him get better. I mean, everything from chemo, radiation several times, to brain surgeries, holistic, you name it, they did it. And it still ended up taking his life. But before that, by some complete miracle, my sister ended up getting pregnant with my second gorgeous niece, Sydney Bryn. And literally, it was probably truly a miracle, if you think about it. Jason going through everything he was going through with chemicals in his body and stress my sister was going through, and she still ended up conceiving and having a beautiful, healthy little girl. So hence, I have two amazing nieces, and every day I'm so grateful for my sister, and she's an amazing mom and the strongest woman I know, and I'm just so very blessed for the gift of my sister and the gift of my nieces. And obviously, Jason is a gift as an angel now, and he's up there with my brother, Brian. So what ended up happening is through all of this, many years later, I have now discovered all these really cool, enlightening spiritual tools, methodologies, and I wish I knew these things earlier in my life. And that's what I write about in Life and Love Lessons, and that's why I wrote the book, because I have always been this extremely hard worker, extremely nose to the grindstone, masculine energy, work. I'm extremely street smart and was able to be book smart as well. So I have all of those things. I have the business acumen. I have all of those things that so many people do. But how many people really encompass both ends of the spectrum and really embody it? And so I have spent the last several years, I guess you could say, 15 years. I really don't have a year count, but let's say since May of 2018, when I started meditating, became like hyper speed. And really embodying and learning and growing and using so many different tools. So a few years ago, 2 years ago, I whipped out one of my oracle decks that is an Archangel oracle deck. And I had the intention of showing my nieces because not only do I like it, I thought it would be fun, just like a fun thing, but I had this higher purpose of just introducing them to the angels because I know they both had some different struggles that they were going through. And I really also intended that maybe this would help them understand and maybe start to feel some connection to their father and even their uncle over time, and it wasn't like I had some path. It was more of just an intention of like, you know what, if this is a way that they can start to embody and learn about spirituality, if they are open to it, because not everyone is open to it, and that's totally fine. If they are open to it, if they feel called, that this might just be like this little gateway breadcrumb for them to start the process. And Sydney used to really struggle with nightmares and sleepwalking. And oh my gosh, my sister went through a lot with Sydney. And so way back when, I bought Sydney a little stuffed angel that she still has with her. And so I don't know, I just kind of felt like showing them the cards would be something kind of fun. And they both really liked it, which was cool. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I never want to be pushy on them or anyone in this lifetime. Like, you're either feel called to it, I might give you a little sprinkling and you feel called to it, or you don't. You don't. And so what ended up happening was Sienna wanted the same deck for Christmas. And I couldn't remember what holiday it was when I recorded the podcast with Sienna, but it was Christmas. And so I bought it for her and put it away. And then I bought Sydney a deck from Gabby Bernstein. And she uses her deck too. She has the Universe Has Your Back deck, I believe I bought her. And so since then, both girls, but especially Sienna, I would say, have really embraced, and they have crystals now and have done all these different things. So several months ago, I thought to myself, gosh, it would be really cool if Sienna came on the podcast. And it was just like once in a while, the thought would enter my mind out of the blue. So that is your intuition talking to you, and that's, leading you to what maybe would be good for your higher self. And so I was like, kept noodling it, but I wasn't getting like a strong intuition that it was time. It was more of like just kind of planting some seeds, and it would come to me and then it would go, and it would come to me and it would go. And one of the things was I didn't think she was listening to my podcast yet, so I didn't know if it was just the right time in general. And again, I didn't want to be pushy and be like, oh, you should listen to my podcast, Sienna. I just kind of wanted it to naturally evolve. And then there was a podcast that I did with Bella Luna about the moon phases, and I knew Sienna was really into the moon. And she was bringing her crystals out to charge under the moon. So I knew that she was feeling some connection to the moon. So I had suggested that podcast for her, and for her to sign up for Bella Luna's class. And she did. So I just did a suggestion, and then she took it from there. And she's been listening to the podcast ever since. So I've really seen this correlation between Sienna and I, in that she, at 15, has a job, how amazing is that? Is been going to work, building relationships. She is a 15-year-old who got her permit to learn to drive, whereas I know a lot of young adults right now have put off driving. I know several instances where teenagers have not gotten their license at 15, 16, whatever age for their state. And she's just really evolved into this amazingly bright young lady. And I know she has an old soul. I just know that intuitively. And it's just been really fun to watch her evolve. I also want to mention that she is an actress. She's been in plays, she's taken singing lessons, and she's read for, groups of people. So I felt that the timing was amazing for her as an opportunity to showcase her speaking ability and continue to build upon that. I think that's really, really cool and something that I wish that I would have done as a young adult. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to mention that came up with human design and my conversation with Ann Smith. And I don't think it's in a podcast. I think it was off the cuff ad hoc in chatting with Ann Smith. And if you don't know what human design is, definitely check out podcast episode 122, 130, and 134 to learn more about human design. And human design is something I encompass in my coaching. And then I'm also doing even more studies to learn about it because there's so much to learn about with all the channels and the gates and different things. So when I was talking to Ann, she looked at my chart and she looked at my niece's charts as well as my sister's and my husband's. And she noticed right away a correlation with my chart and Sienna's chart for the channels that is about teaching. It was the craziest thing. When she told me this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is nuts. So, and that was just, a couple months ago. So again, I had this inkling, this intuition that just kept coming at me all the time. So hence now it was time. So I think that's all I'm going to share in this. I didn't want this to be like a super long podcast. I just wanted to give some context around me asking her because it wasn't just like a normal request. There was a lot there. There's a lot of history. There's a lot with her, her dad passing and me letting my dating situation go and being excited about her as a niece. And there was just a lot more there that I felt I wanted to share as part of the story. So if you then listen to the podcast that Sienna and I record, the one for tomorrow, and then obviously the future ones, you'll just know a little bit more of the background, that it's not just like a normal situation, that there's just a little bit more history there, a little bit more intention. And I just feel that, we both have so much to share. And, if Sydney ends up coming on someday too, I think that's really cool. Miss Sydney is a dancer and she is amazing. She can definitely outdance me. Oh, goodness gracious. And I'm just very, very blessed for my sister and my two nieces and my entire family. So anyhow, I'm going to wrap this. Again, didn't mean for it to be super long. And thank you for listening. Please share if you can inspire someone else. If you have a young adult in your life, whether you're a grandma, a parent, an aunt or uncle like my husband and I are, or even just a neighbor or wish to mentor someone, I'm just doing this to encourage other people. I mean, the intent is to share, right? And sometimes I don't make that loud and clear enough, and that, so hopefully someone listening goes, gosh, I wonder if my daughter would be interested. Or maybe not, right? Because not everyone is, but maybe there's someone that is, that that you can just plant this little breadcrumb, just like I did with showing my nieces my oracle deck. And it ended up evolving into something bigger for them as opportunities to learn and to grow and now to share. So I hope that comes through in what we end up talking about. So the podcast for tomorrow is super fun and I hope you love it, and I would love to hear from you. So thanks again. If you would like to connect, it's Melinda@melindavanfleet.com, and I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, and Instagram. Oh my goodness gracious, right? All right. Thank you so much. I hope you love the podcast. Bye.